Welcome to Enneagram 9 in 9, Bite-Sized Wisdom for Life. I'm Jen Stanley. Let's dive in. Hello, Enneagram 4. An Enneagram 4 is our feeliest of our feelers, as we often say. An Enneagram 4 is so comfortable in their emotion that they can recognize, I say hundreds, I say that, kind of jokingly, but many, many emotional shifts every single day. And so let's talk core 4 for the Enneagram 4. First, how do I process? What is the dominant center of intelligence for an Enneagram 4? Well, that's definitely going to be the heart center. Just like the Enneagram 2 and the Enneagram 3, the Enneagram 4 is processing through an emotional and relational connection with the world. And for the Enneagram 4, I would say especially through the emotion. We know that a 2 and a 3 can kind of read the room, but an Enneagram 4 is sensing the vibe of the room all the time. They're going to notice texture. They're going to notice art. They're going to notice just all of the features in a space that give even a space emotion. And they're going to be able to talk to you about what emotion a conference room has, a boardroom, their home, their space in their home is very important to an Enneagram 4. Their bedroom, where they hang out. They want the feeling of where they are to match what they feel. And so this emotional heart center of the 4 really, really drives their life. And with that heart center, they're definitely driven for that feeling of love and affection and esteem. Now, the primary motivator of a 4, how they're going to feel love, affection, esteem, is when they are seen and noticed and when they have a sense of belonging. So being seen and understood to the Enneagram 4 is the air that they need to breathe. And that's why often, if we're typecasting on a 4, maybe the 4 is the person in the room who has decided to color their hair a different color. Or maybe they have really interesting body art or jewelry or a really interesting personal style that stands out. Now, again, I'm very careful. I would never type someone based solely on their appearance. But if you are an Enneagram 4 and you find yourself drawn to these physical attributes, appearance type of ways of being noticed, that's because you're looking to be seen and to be understood and to be known. And I think a misconception around the 4 is often like, oh, the 4 just wants to stand out. The 4 just wants to be unique. They think they're more unique than everybody else. And really, that is not true at all. The 4 believes that, yes, they are unique and have a lot of depth and have a lot of mystery to them, but they also believe that so does everyone else. And so the 4 is not simply trying to be the only unique person in the room. They just recognize that everyone has this unique quality, and it's really important to the 4 that if you see them, it's not just about seeing their physical appearance, it's that you want to get to know them in a deep and personal way. This is the core motivation of the 4. Now, what a 4 avoids being ordinary, right? This shouldn't surprise us. If their goal is to be seen, is to be understood, is to be uniquely valued for who they are, they don't want to blend in. They don't want to do the ordinary things or the average things. And again, it goes all the way back to if a 4 feels like they are ordinary, if a 4 feels like they're doing ordinary work or in an ordinary environment, like their bedroom or their home or, their dorm room at school, that's kind of, it's very deflating for the 4 to feel like something about what they're doing is ordinary, because the world isn't meant to be ordinary to the 4. There's so much to offer, and there's so much mystery in the world. And so a 4 really wants to avoid being ordinary. And here's why. Because if they're ordinary, they might be overlooked. And remember that 4 is looking for affection, esteem, being known and loved. That's what's driving the 4. And so being ordinary, there's a real chance that if you're ordinary, you blend in, you get overlooked, you're not known, you're not seen. And so a 4 is at all times trying to avoid being ordinary. This can obviously have some good outcomes, but it can also make life kind of hard on the 4, because some things like following a recipe are just easier if you do it, the ordinary way. And that's really, really hard, even on just those small details. To do anything ordinary is tough for the 4. So the deepest desire for the 4 is to be known. And again, I feel like this is repeated through their motivation, through what they're avoiding. And so this doesn't sound surprising, but the lost childhood message, the message that just didn't compute as a child, is that I know you for you. I know you for you, and I want to know you. I want to know the unique aspects of you. And so when you are in a relationship with a 4 of any kind, if you are an Enneagram 4, just know that quality of being known is so, so vitally important. So that's the core 4. But I think it's really important to look at what happens when a 4 is in a secure place, and what happens to a 4 when they're under a lot of stress. So when a 4 is in their secure place, they go to an Enneagram 1. They tend to look like an Enneagram 1. And so what happens here is that the 4 that sometimes struggles with structure and routine, when they are in their happiest, most secure and safe places, relationships, they actually become very organized and disciplined, and they can follow through and complete tasks. And I love watching a creative 4 in places where they feel so good and they feel so seen and so known that they actually become incredibly productive and organized. It's a really cool thing to see. Now, when a 4 is under a lot of stress, they're going to move towards the Enneagram 2. And so again, remember, they're pulling all of their processing in through the emotions. And so when stress happens and they move to this 2, they start taking care of everybody else, and they start jumping in and trying to fix and solve for other people, and they take on the responsibility of other people's feelings more than they need to be. And so a 4 under a lot of stress can look like a 2 that maybe isn't as healthy as they need to be. If any of this is resonating with you and you want to talk about how you can go a little deeper into knowing who you are and navigating this world that you find yourself in, jump on my calendar, it's in the show notes, and schedule a free call with me.